Today's the first day without sunshine in 2 weeks, and I totally forgot how that feels. And before that, I totally had forgotten how it feels to see some sunlight, and yeah, now it's getting back to black and to gray. Well, anyway, there's also certain beauty to this weather, but I've noticed how dependent I am on, or a part of me at least is depending on sunshine and on vibrant colors especially. I just noticed how my whole being and my whole every part of me just lit up the moment, the sunlight just brought out all these vibrant colors all around me. So the last 2 weeks were really beautiful, and just all these flowers and trees blossoming everywhere. But it was also kind of bittersweet, I have to say, because I noticed that we have March, and so 1 year ago in March was the time when my sister's conditions started to worsen, and also ultimately when she left this world, and it brought back lots of, I wouldn't say necessarily memories, but sensations, feelings, energies from exactly that time in spring last year when I was at this magnolia tree in front of her hospital, and she actually painted many times this one magnolia tree, which is in the botanical garden in Berlin. Now there's also like a little sign with her name at the tree at the Japanese pavilion. So if you ever visit Berlin, come and see my sister's magnolia tree. And I also told you, I think several times, how badly I've been dissociating in the last year, especially in the mornings and in the evenings. I've been, and also sometimes during the day, really a part of me, and I'm realizing it's one part of me that has this protection strategy of dissociating and creating this really empty and numb feeling, and this part really started to, take the lead, take over, to blend with myself. But 1 week ago, and I also didn't post that week because that week was just so busy and my son was sick and everything, but I actually started to communicate with that part, actually with all of my parts, more kind of started to get into kind of deeper talks with them from self, from essence, without judgment, with curiosity and openness and softness. And I started to ask this part, this dissociating part, like, if you could put down this burden of protecting all of this, what would you rather be doing? And it pretty quickly told me that it would rather play and create, would get back to playfulness and creating. So, and it wasn't that I, like, the next moment sat down and kind of took a pencil and colors and started painting or anything like that, but I have my little journal, and actually I started like just with ink to draw some lines, and then just suddenly something started flowing, like all of a sudden. I didn't even expect it, and it was almost like in this place of numbness and emptiness and dissociation, suddenly there was this creative spark again, which has been suppressed or held back. And that's just so interesting to me. So I just started drawing some lines and just got into this feeling and the sensation of it. So what felt good to me in that moment? Kind of totally letting go of the outcome or the bigger picture, the result, and just getting carried away. Like, I actually know it from making music, improvising, writing songs is that the moment what you're creating, what you're making takes on a life of its own, you know, this, I guess, this kind of its own momentum. That's the moment you really are getting into this connection, into this communication, into this flow, and there is like this energy exchange, this empowerment happening in that moment. It sounds maybe a bit esoteric, but I don't care. I just felt my sister speaking through the creation in that moment. I just recognized her. Like, I'm getting very kind of teary-eyed right now, but it was like she was speaking through and to me in that moment. And that was really beautiful. And somehow it was because I just went into the flow. I just went with the flow and didn't care about how the end result looks and if it kind of looks like what my sister would have painted, because I just, you know, felt this zest for life again, and especially that dissociated part did that. That was beautiful. So I just, in general, have to say that I feel most inspired while creating when I'm not focusing on the bigger picture. That's just how I am. And I know some people, when they are creating whatever it is, when they're cooking a meal, let's say, they have this picture in mind already, what they want to cook. And I'm totally different, and maybe you are too. I just want this to be, you know, an inspiration for you too, because I know some of you, and we're always talking through the comments or over my Patreon or whatever, know like everyone is kind of has this creative spark in them, and some of you told me like they feel like their creativity is blocked, and I can totally relate to that. So like what I do, like if I compare it, for example, to cooking, I just try to feel into kind of myself. What is it in that moment that actually really where I feel a certain, I don't have the English word right now, wo ich Lust drauf habe, I would say in German, like kind of what would really feel tasty in that moment. I can't express it better right now. Strawberries, for example, I'm looking at them right now and I'm thinking strawberries, maybe with some Parmesan, and just combine them with something that just surprises me. Something that brings this element of wonder and of surprise. And the same I noticed for myself with drawing and painting. I'm so glad that right now in the evening and in the morning I'm taking my little journal and I have I bought myself some art supplies that I can have like beside my pillow, and then I can use like in a cafe or in the train even, or whenever I feel like it, just instead of doom scrolling, just taking them out and just in that moment just really calming my nervous system. That's what it is about in that moment, just, you know, so and I have to tell you, when I'm doing this before I'm falling asleep, it just weaves into my dreams. I just start having I'm starting to see these beautiful shapes and colors, and I start to feel this connection with source and with the world again, instead of dissociating, really. If you live your life always kind of focusing on the bigger picture, on the big outcome or kind of the finished results, I think oftentimes it creates lots of pressure. And I can remember, I felt that especially in my 20s, like you should accomplish this and that by the age of 25 or by the age of 30. That was such an incredible pressure. And then suddenly you turn 30 and you realize that's, I don't know, it's such a weird narrative people have. And when I live my life like that, just thinking about what do I want to achieve in 5 years and just really focusing on that or manifesting that, something in me really tightens. And that might be totally different for you. I'm just talking about myself, because for me, just I notice, and this is the same when I'm creating something, whether it's music or whether it's painting, whether it's cooking. I feel most alive when things are connecting, when there's improvisation, and when I'm sailing and dancing instead of rowing and marching, and it's like a communication with life and with spirit and source and whatever you want to call it, like this deeper current that moves through everything and every being. And if I'm honest, I had really lost my joy of painting in a way, mostly because I stopped paying attention to really how it viscerally feels. And that's interesting because I think it's something, I don't know, maybe painters talk about that, but I rarely hear like, how do you feel viscerally when you're painting? Like, how does your hand feel, the brush feel? I know, like, for example, when I'm singing, I wonder how it is for you, but it's really the vibration and also the resonance that I feel in my body or through my body that inspires me to bring something into the world. If I listen to a song that I created, or look at something I painted now, I can feel the energy that has flown into it in that moment and flown into it. Sorry, sometimes my English, sometimes I'm just confused. Anyway, but when I think back to my days at media art school, where I studied for 4 years, and it was like a school where there were like all different kinds of crafts and media art forms. Basically, it was kind of focusing on the media aspect, like how are you transmitting something into the world, basically. And I remember that the process of creating often wasn't as important as the finished product. And I asked myself, why is that? And there was also like a very strong judgment of something, or the finished result of being kind of too simple, or maybe not too simple, maybe too playful or too feminine, too esoteric or whatever, too spiritual. And that created a really timid atmosphere, a slightly fearful one, I would even say, very judgmental. I talked about that in one video I did when I started this channel. And I just think, shouldn't creativity be the opposite of that, and shouldn't be kind of something that inspires everybody to join in their own way? Wouldn't the world be a much better place, if we wouldn't always be thinking about what we should do and what someone or society expects of us? I don't know. It's just so much about co-creating, and how also the world and the collective creates through you. We have this weird kind of ego image going on of the artist, this big artist who does this masterful work, but isn't it like all about kind of how connected we are and co-creating and joining in with each other? And I'm just noticing that more and more since my sister is gone, and a part of her is really drawing through a part of me right now. Who knows? That's how it feels like, I have to tell you. We're often so preoccupied with how things should look, how they should sound, how they should be, instead of actually connecting and actually feeling alive, feeling that zest for life. Not only, feeling it with our whole being. I always have to think of a lemon and how it smells, how it tastes, the beautiful bright yellow, and that's what I want to feel like when I create anything in life. That zest, that aliveness. And if someone calls something I create as decorative or not original enough or whatever, or too playful, I honestly don't care, because, I or you, we all have the right to create whatever we want, to take up space, and to do it in a way that we feel alive and enjoying ourselves, really. Especially as women, we sometimes tend to forget that. We also need to enjoy ourselves in our bodies, right? So don't create to impress, create to express yourself. It sounds so simple and cliche, but that's just the way it is, I think. You know, staying curious, playful, and I think actually in a way that's a really radical thing to do. You know, it can provoke people really. You know? Yeah. Especially if something is a bit messy or, I don't know, not so put together. But, you know, through messiness, you know, the most beautiful things. And also messes can be beautiful. So anyway, I don't know. Yeah, that's my little kind of monologue. I hope my camera recorded all of this, because sometimes I tend not to press the button or tend to erase things. But that's another topic. So, yeah. Once again, I just want to say that you know, sometimes I ask myself why I'm doing this, also this YouTube channel. And that's one simple reason. It's not for any money, because I get paid like so little. And that's definitely not it. It's also definitely not for any kind of views or likes, because, you know, I'm making small niche content. It's really about the connection with you. And sometimes I really need to remind myself of that. And when I just think of it, it's all clear. And the beautiful friendships that have grown out of this, the real friendships, really, it's amazing. So later that day, even though the weather was still very gloomy and cold, I took myself out for a little walk. And what really made me smile was that I suddenly saw lemons everywhere. Unfortunately, my phone died at some point, so I couldn't film all of them, but I captured a few at least. And then I found these beautiful, cute lemon and cherry earrings, and they made me so happy, I can't even tell you. And the cherry earrings even make this very sweet sound when they move, which I absolutely love. And I also came across a beautiful card with a magnolia tree and butterflies that, yeah, just reminded me of my sister. And it's moments like that that remind me to really pay attention to those little signs and synchronicities. For me, they feel like a kind of communication with life and with spirit of things, and, you know, with the invisible threads that connect everything, because that's what it is all about. And yeah, I felt quite exhausted that day, to be honest, and I decided to take myself out for dinner. And then I went to get some tea, you know, and I read my favorite book, No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz, which I can really recommend you. I think it's just interesting how most of us talk about ourselves as if we were this single monolithic mind, and as if there were just one me. But in reality, we are shaped by an incredible inner diversity, all these different parts, this inner family. And for me, it has become really important to listen to all of those parts, especially the ones with limiting beliefs, like the inner judge or the critic, you know, the ones that feel uncomfortable or difficult. I think positive affirmations can be very helpful, of course, but what has felt even more important to me is meeting those parts, like especially the uncomfortable ones, with openness and compassion from self, so they can finally feel safe enough to relax. And when that happens, something really beautiful appears, as I told you. It's almost as if the light that was always there can shine through again. So in a way, unblocking yourself is also unlocking yourself, your essence, because very often what we're looking for isn't missing at all. It's just hidden. It's hidden behind all those protective layers, whether we call them parts, ego states, or shadows. But underneath all of that, at the center of each of us, there's something very, simple like this beautiful essence that just wants to connect with life and with each other. And sometimes all it takes to feel that again is a small walk through the city, or a pair of cherry earrings, or a magnolia tree, or a book that reminds you that life still has very beautiful and unexpected surprises for you.
Let life surprise you once again.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.